once again to all our participants. What we have seen in DIVA is that the demonstration step was a very important when talking about digital solutions, because it's quite easy to set up software, decision support tools, or to have nice sensors and so on. But then when you go from the lab to the field, then there is an important step to reach, and then it's more difficult, because we know that when it comes to talking about agriculture application, you have to face the heterogeneity of the fields, and you may have different weather conditions. You may have maybe some insects running in your sensors and so on. So you have to face with all this uncertainty, and so it's very important that you can test your solution in a facility, in a demonstration site, and that's what we made a special focus in DIVA, on demonstration side that were not offered, but the access to such demonstration facilities were offered to in DIVA to those who applied to the vouchers. And so one example of this demonstration facility was the one provided by Astra in Italy. And that's why Maria Grazia will show how it works in practice, a demonstration site, what you can offer, and what interaction you can offer for companies that would like to develop their solutions in fields. So the floor is yours, Maria Grazia. Maybe we have, I don't know how many slides you have. Yeah, most probably we should maybe stick to a half an hour presentation, and then we will pick up questions and engage a conversation with the participants. So for the participants, do not hesitate to ask questions in the chat tools. I will collect all these questions, and I will ask them to Maria afterwards. Thank you, Maria. The floor is yours.
Okay, good afternoon to everybody. Thank you, Nicolas, for the introduction. I want to present to you some experiences related to the operational facilities and the necessary step to demonstrate digital innovation. I'm calling from Italy, where we have one demo farm, of which I will talk to you in a few minutes. Well, I want to start with just a few little mention as background of the issue we are discussing today. And in particular, the fact that agri-food, forestry and environment are probably the sector that less benefited from the offers and potential of ICT technologies. At least that is what is happened or is happening in Italy, although we think that there is an increasing demand of digital solution by this kind of sectors. That, on the other hand, has a wide development margins, as also was emerged during the description given during this morning. Also considering the reduced costs that hardware and software components has so far compared to the past. Well, this situation, in our opinion, represents a very important opportunity to win the challenges of agri-food, but also forestry and environmental sector. And the new challenge of the Green Deal in general that we have to consider for the next future. In the last years, several startups and SMEs involved in ICT, also related to agri-food and forestry, burned, as we had occasion to hear even in the morning. And they plan to realize a new digital solution that, however, require the necessity to realize prototypes and to be verified for their effectiveness in the application field. So concerning this point, well, that could be a quite obvious slides, but it's just helpful to me to anticipate what I want to introduce later on. We know that the first step for the validation process is starting from the lab, so with a low TRL, so a low technology readiness level. But when the prototype or the tool it has to be validated for their effectiveness and their efficacy, it has to go in the field in an applied context where it has to be tried. And we are in front of a higher level of TRL. We are at 7 before to go to the market like the 9.1. Well, for this reason, we think that the demo farm could be the ideal living lab for experimental farm, where the ICT company, startup, SME in general, can find what is necessary to validate their innovative digital solution for the farm and the process plants in case. So the demo farm can help to carry on this kind of process, making available several things, starting from fields with different kind of crops or maybe livestock rearing, but also basic software and hardware like meter station, sensor, and so on, and even more with specialized personnel to support the SMEs on the ICT technique application. Uh, at least all the kind of services that the demo farm can supply to an SME are, of course, or should be, of course, listed in a kind of list of services, let's say, in order to give to the SMEs the key to understand what they can find available in one demo farm place. And then the demo farm, as I said before, can supply several things. But that doesn't mean that an SME, if we catalog the SME like any kind of ICT structure, can require in the support given by a demo farm. So I tried to describe the service as a different level of service. So we can start from a level 0, we say a basic one, where the demo farm can just give the possibility to the SMEs to use their lands, so a specific crop and a certain amount of lands, in order to leave the SMEs to carry on their own experimentation by themselves, in order to look if the solution is working or not. But then we have a second level called 1, where apart from the land, the demo farm can make available, first of all, specialized personnel that can give support to the SME's experimentation and in the validation process, together with basic hardware and software tools to improve all the systems. Another level we call level 2, which include, of course, what already said for level 1, but where additional data and information related to previous experimentation, for example, like some direct experience carried on by the demo farm, together with the data coming from public or private database that are available in the area, like, for example, metadata, but also soil use map or forecasting models or water availability and irrigation advices can be supplied additionally. And last level, level 3, that include, of course, all the previous points described, can also include one key point, in our opinion, which is the involvement of final users. So of the person operators that can be strictly interested to the digital innovation processed in this experience. And that could be very important to evaluate the suitability and the applicability of the solution. This last level, in a way, can be also useful and contribute to the technology transfer of the digital solution. Well, now I want to give you an example of the experience carried on in Italy and that we had together with Demo Farm Astra, which is included in the Demo Farm network of DIVA. Astra is a farm which has three main location premises. One is in Imola, a second one in Tebano, on the hills near Faenza, and the third one in Cesena. Altogether, they cover something like 70 hectares, including several kind of crops. There are fruit crops, different kind of fruit crops, vineyards, vegetables, seeds and arable crops, as well as processing crops. And there are part of the farm which is under organic farming, and the rest is in integrated farming systems. Astra has, of course, also several kind of equipment which include demo farm that include machine for soil tillage, weed control, irrigation systems, but also tools for precision farming like GPS, meteo station, soil environmental sensor, data logger. And Astra include also some facilities that are, for example, greenhouses, experimental wine cell, laboratory for chemical or microbiological or sensory and qualitative analysis of fruits. What are the main activities that Astra is carrying out apart from the role as demo farm? Well, Astra is addressing most of their activity on this list of topics that are anyway quite wide, considering the large list of crops with which it is used to work with. Among product innovation, for example, some exercise or some activities are related to soil analysis and composition, but also varietal assessment and quality monitoring. Going to process innovation, we can consider, for example, the new agronomic and low impact techniques to look for the sustainability of the cropping systems in general. And again, the implementation of complex production systems, including production process control and rationalization, and study on the environmental impact. But focusing on precision farming, one experience that Astra is carrying on is the work with wireless sensor network for precision environmental monitoring for several kinds of crops. Further, there are studies on genetic improvement concerning fruit and vegetables, which include quality standardization for zoning and territorial characterization, for example. And that is also important and useful in the vision of the crop resilience for climate changing aspects, of course. But there are also technological innovation related to agri-food industry, and in particular, Astra is involved on the controlled temperature preservability lines, which is a quite important point, but also on potato cookie lines or microvinification lines. But why Astra decided to join to become to join DIVA and to become a demo farm, or to be defined as a demo farm? Well, that is to connect to the fact that one of the main goals of Astra is to enlarge the opportunity to support and to supply service to farmers, to advisors, and to research and operative centers. And for example, that can be done through some main points, like the crop monitoring, and that I mentioned also before, but for example, in detail on the study of the phenological phases of the crops, like germination, flowering, or the right period of harvesting, and that for different kind of crops. But another important point is the data comparison, for example, with between different cultivars, similar cultivars, but with different behavior. And again, the point related to the climate data collection to improve, for example, forecasting model. And another point is monitoring by precision farming tools, like with wireless sensor network and others, in order to improve the production, to reduce inputs, and improve crop resilience. But the reason why Astra was interested to become a demo farm is also to be able to give a higher support to the producers and to agri-food sector in general. So to try to win the several challenges that the sector is requiring. And this in the slide, you can see few of the challenges that we collected along the DIVA work we carried on. And just to mention some of them that we collected in the network we organized here in Italy are, for example, to identify a tracking system for identification of frauds on organic products. That is a very big deal, that is very issuing mostly nowadays that organic products are enlarging their markets. Another point can be, for example, plant disease forecasting model. We mentioned already before, but this is a very crucial point, in particular for the pathogens which has high pressure occurrence. And with the climatic changes that we are living, can become a very, very topic aspect in agri-food sector. Another challenge is, for example, the precision weeds control in organic agriculture mostly, but also an integrated one. And another one, as an example always, is the possibility to have some digital solution to help in the indirect measures of seeds quality. Like, for example, to have the measurement of germinability or of the right harvesting time, and so on. So we, together with Astra, make ourselves some main questions. how to bring the SMEs or the anyway ICT providers closer to end user, so to agro-food sector in particular, with which we have more dialogue. And again, how to foster the dialogue between these two. And following, how to make the SMEs aware of the opportunity offered in a collaboration with the demo farm. So to answer to these main questions, CRPV together with Astra, we tried to develop a possible program, possible plan of activities, taking in consideration the fact that we regularly organize a technical committee to collect the needs from the agri-food sector. But one of our goals is also to create a bridge between stakeholders, so agri-food sectors in this case, and the technology providers. So this listed here are some example of some activities that we are doing in Astra or that we are planning to do in Astra. So evaluation of experimental technology, demo farm day, a guided tour, and a catalog of available technology. So going in detail in each of them, the first one is quite simple because it is what I already said before and what we maybe can be more used to imagine on a activity of a demo farm. In particular, it means or it consists in the support for the validation of an hosted technology in order to evaluate the effectiveness, efficiency, and sustainability in order to answer to few main questions like is or does the ICT solution is effective, and is it advantageous and applicable? It is sustainable, also considering the cost aspects for the end users that has to use it. Well, for this kind of service and of activities, we tried to make a little indication of the cost of this service. That is has to be related to the level I said you before. So for lower levels from 0 to 1, it can range at a very low amount of money. It will increase, of course, going to an additional kind of service, so to going to level 2 and 3. And of course, this is just a very indicative cost that has to be discussed case by case according to the technologies that should be evaluated and processed, of course. An experience related to this kind of service is, for example, described by the collaboration of Astra together with an SMEs to develop a project, Fruit IoT, that was already described briefly this morning. In this case, the support for the validation given by Astra was fundamentally to be able to integrate the analysis and the assessment in the field together with the platform and the DSS developed by the ICT providers, that in this case was Agronica. So in particular, Astra tested the systems providing plots with fruit crops and IoT sensor for both meteorological and soil moisture data for the platform test. And during the irrigation seasons, the agronomist of Astra assessed the crop health, looking the correspondence with the output of the decision supporting systems developed by the providers. And at the end of the growing seasons, Astra measured the yield and the fruit quality parameters, analyzing samples of fruits in order to validate the right conclusion of the crop cycle, and finding the correspondence between the results given by the output of the DSS together with the plot test that was grown without the use of this tool, arriving at the end of the final validation of the systems. That was, as it was already described at the beginning, a decision supporting systems to rationalize and to improve the irrigation systems for the crop selected as a test. That was, if I am not wrong, apricot in particular. Well, this is another example of experience that was achieved by Astra together with CRPV with the goal to bring agri-food sector specialists closer to the new technologies created by ICT company. In one single event that was a kind of demonstration and networking event. The first edition of this event was held last October, and despite the restriction that we had to accomplish with due to COVID-19, we could be able to involve 32 exhibitors, so ICT providers belonging 16 ICT company, together with 48 participants coming from 22 companies of the agri-food sector. Well, the requiring to participate to this kind of event was much larger from both sides, ICT company and stakeholders, we can say in general. But we had to manage to organize it according to the rules to be safe from COVID-19 diffusion. Anyway, the experience was very intensive, very consuming, time consuming in the organization for sure, but it was successfully. And we will see some feedbacks later on, but we decided that it will be for sure the first edition of something that has to become at least an annual event entirely dedicated to high-tech demo farm. And in this case, each exhibitors, each ICT provider had their own place where to show the digital solution, and the beneficiary were in particular operator of the agri-food sector and advisors. Another example of initiatives that Astra is developing are the guided tours. Well, in that case, are thematic events organized in where the agri-food specialists and advisors or members can see in detail and during a concrete application a specific technology or experiments. This kind of events, of course, are addressed to agri-food sector or end user in general, aimed to see closely the technology and the operativity of the solution, that in some cases can be also permanently shown along the year. In addition to the traditional visits in a field, it's possible to organize also virtual visits on the website in case. And the last activity that is planned to develop is the catalog of available technology. Astra is projecting, in fact, to have a dedicated website where to describe a new technology or a preview of future ones addressed to final user, but also to providers. On the right of the slides, you can see an example of a page where dedicated to one specific technology with a brief description of the SMEs and of the technology itself, some contacts and other useful link like video, documents, pics. Well, what was the feedback that we collected during the last period of such kind of experience? And this feedback are coming from both sides, from ICT company together with agri-food sector users. We collect a very high interest and appreciation for the activity to bring closer the actors together. And one requirement was related to the demo farm day, that many required to replicate it, not just one per year, but even many times along the year. And in such case, to increase also the number of companies that could present and show their solution, and on the other hand, to enlarge the number of stakeholders invited, including farmers. But on the other hand, we have to highlight some general remarks that is coming out from our experience. And these remarks are some weakness and some strengthening points. The weakness points are these two, for example. So we realize that there is not an optimal use of the demo farm by the ICT companies, presumably due to the not sufficient knowledge of the opportunities that they can offer. And together with the SMEs that won a DIVA voucher, for example, mostly used the voucher to perform the activity by themselves, poorly considering the important role of demo farm in the validation process, and in particular also for its impact. But there are also some strength points. A demo farm, for example, that operate in a real condition can allow to improve and cross-fertilize the implementation of agri-food solution in agriculture to promote the digital solution transfer to farmer and advisors. And again, the experience with the demo day has shown us how the demo farm can be perceived also as a platform for technology transfer. So I am at the end, and I can leave you just with a couple of recommendations, at least that came out from our experience. In our opinion, it is very important to strengthen the dialogue and the collaboration between demo farm and the SME offering ICT in order to share ideas, paths, and to co-create a new technology able to answer to the challenges expressed by the agri-food sector, but also by forestry and environmental sector. Further, we think essential that the ICT company interact with end users to understand their concrete needs and to define the area with the greatest need for technologies and what are the major associated cost factors that can be crucial points for the application of a digital solution at the end. These two main aspects will favor for sure the possibility to enlarge the adoption of ICT by end user, and at the same time can contribute to build a new value chain and strengthen the existing one. And I thank you all very much for the attention, and I am available for possible questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you very much for your presentation, for your very clear presentation. This is very interesting because we can see that demonstration farms such as Astra, you have different roles and different services that you can offer to SMEs. You can, of course, propose a place for experimentation, for validation. But what I've seen also is that through your demo days, you are also a place for showcase and demonstrate the solutions so that the final user, the farmers can have a look and see how it works for real. You also, I've seen, and I didn't know that, so it's good to know that you proposed to a sort of catalog, a portfolio of solutions that you have tested, and you can describe them. So that's quite interesting in terms of diffusion, of dissemination of the technology. And indeed, the last thing that you provide, and last but not least, is also well, you are part of the technology transfer, communication, diffusions towards the end users, the farmers, because you are really, as the way I see it, as the at crossroads between the users, the final users, and the technology providers. So that's very interesting. And I see that your demo days is a very complete, well, very interesting event. So if I understand well, you will continue to organize this kind of demo days. Can we consider that this is part of the sustainability measures of DIVA?
Well, I thank you to give me the possibility to say a few words more on this point. Yes, I think that DIVA was a pusher in a way to bring us in that direction. Although we had already, as I said before, in mind the idea to make a stronger link between actors. Okay, but we found that as a quite interesting possibility. And for sure, we are planning to make it as a regular event, compatible with the condition in which we are now, because for sure it was a big challenge to organize it last October due to COVID, that for sure did not keep us simple organize all that event. It was very time consuming in the organization and in the amount of person involved to be sure that everything worked properly and safety for everybody. But following the feedback that we found, the appreciation also by the ICT providers to have a concrete field where to show their digital solution to the potential end users, this appreciation was very high, and they find very suitable to make this kind of event in a demo farm, where some concrete real conditions are available where to show the use and the application of their tools. So yes, I think that it can be a very interesting opportunity.
Yeah, I think that there was one word also that you mentioned, co-creation. I think this is very interesting because there is a very interesting interaction between the end users and the technology providers. And I guess that it's very fruitful to come up in the end with something that works and correspond to the actual needs of the end users. No?
Yes, in fact, as I said in my final recommendation, I think that this is a very key point of these systems, because as we have seen also this morning in the description of the different projects and so on, that also run along DIVA projects, but beside DIVA, there are many others, of course, of digital solution, are not always really linked to the real needs of the end users. So I think we think that to increase and to improve the dialogue between the actors, it's a crucial point to make this co-creative solution and to bring a very increase of the digitalization in agriculture, in agri-food.
Okay, that's very interesting. I think there is no question from the participants for the moment, but do not hesitate to ask, and I will relay your questions. Personally, I have another questions for you, Maria. So you mentioned several challenges that you managed to formulate within DIVA. Challenges were not covered and were not addressed by solutions. So I guess that some of the challenges are still open, and if there are some companies willing to address them, I think they are welcome. No?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Those I just mentioned as example, but are just example. The main one are still to be answered by digital solution. So for sure, it's a way to launch some ideas to SMEs, to ICT companies to try to work on that direction. And we would be very happy to put in contact the requiring of this kind of challenges with a potential provider of a solution, because that is the rule. We think that our company together with the demo farm should have in order to well, improve all the systems.
Okay, I have just one comment before we finish, because we had a very nice presentation just before the previous workshop concerning the funding possibilities for companies, and there is one that was not so much put forward, which is Eurostar. And I like very much this funding possibility, which is a transnational funding system abounded with Europe. But I like very much this system, this scheme, because the type of project that are funded are the configuration is quite simple. Yeah, I think we need just two SMEs from two different countries and I think that the average configuration for this kind of project is just two SMEs and one research laboratory or one experimentation center as yours. And what I want to say is that it's quite easy to build this kind of project, while maybe in Europe might be a bit difficult for young SMEs and startup. I think Eurostar maybe is more easy to reach. And I want to stress the fact that within DIVA, we've built a community of members of interest, and we can, so if there are SMEs attending the workshop, do not hesitate to contact us and say, I've got a good idea to meet or to address the challenge expressed by Maria. And maybe I'm looking for a French company, or I'm looking for maybe another company, and we can manage to find in our network maybe another company to complete your consortium. And once again, we don't need to organize something big. Well, just two SMEs and one research lab is enough. And it's so it's an invitation to express your wish to meet these challenges. I see that we have to finish, because we have to close at 10 to 4. I don't know if Maria Grazia, the final words for you. Do you want to say something, or?
Well, I think that if there are SMEs that are listening us, as well as actors of the agri-food sectors, I think that there is a very huge amount of possibility to work together and to put the basis to create new new works together. And this that you mentioned, Nicolas, could be another opportunity, like many others that were described along the day. So we are available and we're willing to cooperate in this long process that I wish will bring agri-food ready for the future.
Okay. Thank you, Maya, and to be continued. So,
thank you to you and to everybody.
bye-bye.
Bye.